Welcome to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. The beloved actor who played Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies has died. Michael Gambon played Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter films. He also had an extensive catalog of work across TV, film, and radio. Gambon won multiple Best Actor awards at the British Academy Television Awards and was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards. His family says he passed with his wife and son by his side after a bout of pneumonia. He was 82 years old. The writers have their deal. Now the Actors Union and Hollywood studios are resuming negotiations on a new labor contract. SAG-AFTRA says the union is reviewing the WGA's agreement and is committed to achieving a fair deal for its members. SAG-AFTRA and its 160,000 members have been on strike since July 14th. Earlier this week, the Writers Guild of America voted to authorize its members to return to work. With writers back at work, that means late-night talk shows are officially back. Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and John Oliver have all announced their shows are back in production. All will have new shows for the week beginning October 22nd. Late-night shows were the first ones to go dark back in May. The hosts also announced the end of their podcast, Strike Force 5. The comedians launched the podcast during the strike and said all proceeds would go to their out-of-work staff. The Killers of the Flower Moon is building up to be one of the best films of 2023. It's a gripping and tragic story of attacks on Indigenous people, all in the name of power and greed. And the stars behind the film are sharing how we all can learn from the Osage Nation murders and investigation.
Well, our war hero has arrived.
Killers of the Flower Moon was a series of murders of Osage men and women to bilk them at the discovery of oil on their land.
The Osage Reign of Terror was a fascinating piece of American history.
I was drawn to the idea to tell this terribly tragic story that was never brought to national attention.
Marty obsessed with telling this story with the most honesty that he possibly could.
One of the key things was that I was drawn to this world, where friendship and love existed with blatant extortion, exploitation, and murder.
When this money started coming, we should have known it came with something else.
In our film, Ernest develops a relationship with Molly Burkhart.
I don't know what she said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Ernest was encouraged to marry her by his uncle, Bill Hale, in order to get her family's shares in the oil profits.
Hale was a very enigmatic presence in Osage country.
He definitely represented somebody that wanted to take advantage of the situation at all costs.
Their time is over.
There was a need to tell this story from Martin Scorsese. There was something intrinsic in him to do this story justice.
There's a sinister nature of the murders of the Osage people.
Expecting a miracle to make all this go away. You know they don't happen anymore.
I wanted to do justice to the Osage so that the audience feels the immensity of the tragedy.
Out actor and comedian Oscar Montoya plays Richie on the series Minx. Before the actors' strike, Montoya spoke with me about what it was like to step on the set for season 2 of Minx. Your character is gay, and there are other queer characters on the show. And so the show is committed to showing a breadth of queer identity and sexual exploration. And what does it mean to you to be a part of a project that is leaning into that?
I love it. And for season 2, Tracy, it gets gayer, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so it is so amazing that the show was able to give space to queerness of all types, right? And especially like there's the Shelley Bambi storyline, which is so cool because it's the birth of questioning, right? It's Shelley's sort of like questioning herself and the beginning of being gay, what that means, and like the pulls and the pushes of that relationship. And then you have someone like Bambi who's like, you know, not really into labels, who's just fully like, you know, she's just whatever, you know. And then I'm like the fully established gay. I'm the gay elder of the show. It was like, this is my identity, this is my experience, and I'm really comfortable in this space, you know. So it really speaks to all sorts of queer identities on the show. And to me, for a show that takes place in 1972, is incredibly progressive. Like you don't see shows even that take place in the current time, like you don't really see that sort of stuff. And so it's great. It's great seeing gay male representation, but also gay female representation too. Like, I just think it's so, and it's done with so much care and so much love. It's never a joke. It's never, you know what I mean? It's done so importantly, I think. And I think that's why a lot of queer people resonate with this show, to be honest, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's just wonderful. I was really happy to see Shelley's storyline unfold further this season.
Exactly. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask a little bit about, because the great Elizabeth Perkins comes in this season.
Oh,
She's incredible.
This might take the entire rest of our interview if we're talking about Elizabeth Perkins. Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to comment on that, but her character brings with her some, I don't know how to put it really. She comes off as progressive, as, you know, for the people, but she's deeply homophobic. And and that filters down to Joyce, who is your boss on the show. And I wonder, would you talk a little bit about that kind of disconnect of like, oh, we're totally progressive, but we can't have gay men who actually desire each other in our magazine, and the kind of white feminism that speaks to?
You literally just took the words out of my mouth. It's your classic white feminist. I mean, I think it speaks to the idea of the civil rights movement in 1969 with, you know, having white feminism be so sort of like its own thing that there wasn't any space for anyone else. There was no inclusionary sort of stuff, because to a lot of feminists at the time, a lot of white feminists, they're fighting their own battles, and they don't see they have blinders on, you know? So a character like Elizabeth Perkins' character, Constance, has like fought really hard her entire life to be a woman in power, and she sees other like minorities as sort of threatening, and that's where sort of the homophobia and, you know, racism comes from too, you know, with Tina as well. Like it is a very much like, this is my struggle, and I don't want anyone impeaching into my or encroaching into my space. This is my space. Minx is my magazine, and I don't want the message of it to be diluted with other people sort of in the space, where like we forget sometimes that my struggle is her struggle, is our struggle, is everyone's struggle, you know? And we can't make change unless everyone is involved.
However, would you talk a little bit about shooting? You know, Richie is photographing the baths.
The bathhouse scenes, yeah.
Yeah, the bathhouse scene. And what was that like for you?
I mean, yeah, I read that episode and was just like, oh my God, Minx is going there. You know, because this is ripped from the headlines. Stuff like that happened all the time. You know, in 1972, like homosexuality was still seen as a mental disorder. You know what I mean? It was illegal, like you were, you know. So for me reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. Also, like, because I have such a comedy background, I was like, as an actor, am I willing to tackle, like, am I ready to tackle something dramatic? And I was like, I hope, I can be of service. Like, I was just so nervous, because I was like, oh my gosh, because this is important to me. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than the show. It really is a statement.
You can watch The Advocate channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and thank you for watching.